Every night at 7 p.m., the streets of New York City erupt with cheering and clapping and honking and sirens as the entire city expresses their gratitude and their support for the medical professionals who are on the front lines fighting this pandemic. About 2 weeks ago, my brother was out for a jog and he happened to have just caught a clip of exactly this scene unfolding in Riverdale. It is impossible for me to watch that clip or any of the many others that are circulating just like it without being overcome by emotion. It's such a stirring display of humanity, of shared human experience, of shared vulnerability, and of shared gratitude. If there is any silver lining to this crazy and difficult and trying experience, surely it is expressed in that short, wordless and faceless clip. It also provides us all with an insight into a mitzvah that we've never experienced and probably think little about, which appears in Parshas Behar. The Torah tells us that in the 50th year, in the Yovel year on Yom Kippur, we are to sound the shofar. V'ha'avarta shofar teruah. You are to declare with the sounding of a shofar. What is it that you are declaring? Ukrasem dror ba'aretz l'chol yashveha. You are to declare, to proclaim liberty throughout the land to all of its inhabitants. What does that mean? Practically, it means that people have to set their slaves free and also have to return land to its correct and original ancestral owners. In essence, sounding the shofar in the Yovel year on Yom Kippur is a kind of communal reset button. Land goes back to its original owners, and people who maybe sold themselves into slavery because they were in great debt are given a second chance and are set free. In a certain respect, the shofar functions the same way on Rosh Hashanah as it does on Yom Kippur of the Yovel year. In both moments, it's an opportunity for tshuva, for return to a more optimal situation. But there's an important difference between the shofar that is sounded on Rosh Hashanah and the shofar that is sounded on Yom Kippur of the Yovel year. Because on Rosh Hashanah, the mitzvah is lishmoa kol shofar. It is for everyone to hear the shofar. Not so on Yom Kippur of the Yovel year. There, as the Rambam writes, kol yachid v'yachid chayev litkoa. Every individual is obligated to blow the shofar. And that is because there is another very important layer to this mitzvah, to blowing the shofar on Yom Kippur of the Yovel year. The Sefer HaChinuch explains, why is it that everyone blows the shofar? It's because it is an immensely difficult mitzvah to perform. The Torah is asking us to willingly give up our own possessions, to set our assets and our slaves and our land, and just to hand it over. And that's very hard. That's very demanding. But then you hear the sound of the shofar. You hear it coming from your neighbor's home, and you hear it coming from 2 houses down, and you hear it coming from the next town over. You're surrounded by the sounds of other people also blowing the shofar, and you realize that what you are experiencing, the difficult decision that you are faced with, the difficult task that you have been given, that you are facing in your own home, is also the very same scene that is taking place in your neighbor's home. And it's the same challenge that is being faced by the person the next town over and the next town over. Everyone in this moment is alone, but together. And as the Sefer HaChinuch writes very pithily, Tsar Rabim Nechama. In difficult times, it's comforting to know that you are in it really with everyone else. And that's what gets you through. That's what gets you through. And then, after you have that realization, you pick up your own shofar and you sound the horn, you sound the trua, and you show the same support that you received. You show that to your neighbor and to people a house down and 2 houses down and the next town over. And in that faceless and wordless scene, in this cacophonous moment, the whole nation is united and elevated to being the best version of itself. Unfortunately, we don't get to experience that moment in all of its grandeur, but at 7 p.m. every single night in New York City, you can taste it. And we can be reminded of the platitude, so simple to say, we're all in this together. But for an instant, you can really feel it. I wish you and your family a meaningful rest of the week and a Shabbat Shalom.